Was your second baby planned?
So it was not planned. Honestly, it was like we were being very careful.
Were you still nursing your first?
Yeah, I was still nursing Soul, and we honestly naturally weaned right when I got pregnant because it was so painful.
So when did you get your period the first time postpartum?
Yeah, first time was Soul, I got my period at 3 months.
I think if you have the routine, it's good for the babies, but it's also good for you because now you kind of have a schedule of what time, what they're gonna do, and then maybe at this time you can squeeze in, I don't know, listening to a podcast or journaling or I don't know, whatever it is that you need to do. Hi mama, you're doing amazing. I know the challenges of navigating through postpartum life, and I'm here to be a village in a world where the village is often missing. My name is Elo, and I'm the host of the New Mom in Town, the Postpartum podcast. Today's guest is Bria, a beautiful mama of two, an actress, singer, songwriter, and a podcast host herself. On this episode, we're diving into those often overlooked but oh so important topics in postpartum life, like the return of your menstrual cycle, the possibilities of getting pregnant while breastfeeding, and how to fill our own cups as moms. So mamas, let's get into it. Was your second baby planned?
It was not planned, but I think subconsciously it was planned because I always wanted to have kids really close in age. So my brother is 5.5 years older than me, and I was always like, I need to have kids close in age. But after my first, having Soul, I was like, oh, I can wait a long time. Whenever the next one wants to come, it'll come. But you know, his first birthday came, and that's when I started to think I was pregnant. And I happened to be pregnant. I didn't want to find out, honestly. I was like, I just think I am, and I don't even want to take a test because I'm kind of scared. I wasn't feeling ready. So it was not planned. Honestly, it was like we were being very careful with sex, and it was like a one-time thing that it happened. And then I was like, you know what, though? This is going to work out perfectly because maybe it'll happen for him so that maybe he needs a buddy, a little friend. So it all worked out, but it was not planned. And it definitely threw me off my course, I feel like, a little bit because I was kind of on a roll with a lot of things. And I just felt like that pregnancy was kind of like, okay, nope, we're going to do this again. You got to soften up and stay, you know, in that really mom mode, like cool it a little bit on trying to go hard on the career because I started to pick that up. And it just kind of was another little bit of a shock.
Yeah, I mean, it put you on a hold. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, like for me, I am almost 10 months postpartum, and a year is literally just 2 months after this, and I don't even know still where the old Elo is, which I know that I'm never gonna get to the old Elo. I'm a new person, but you know, just kind of mentally, physically, emotionally, in all different ways, so I can't even imagine. But you know, when I saw you pregnant, I would have never guessed that you are on your second and barely 1 year postpartum because you were just glowing and shining and loving this pregnancy like it was your first. That's how it looked to me.
You know, and it did feel that way. It did start to feel that way, and I embraced it because I was like, you know what, this is the path.
Yeah.
This is what God wants. This is how it's meant to be. And this is clearly what Soul wants too. And I have to trust the kids with that too. I was like, it's not just me and Fabian deciding anymore. It's actually the baby too. Like he I feel like he knew that he wanted a sibling.
Yeah.
And that was going to work best for all of us. Because at one point I was thinking maybe he'll be my only child. You know, you do start to think that when you're postpartum and things are hard, you're like, well, maybe this is my one kid. or maybe I'll have some more. And then it happens and you're like, you know what, this is a beautiful blessing and I'm going to embrace it. I want to enjoy it. And that's what I think it ends up being about. Like, do you want to enjoy this? Do you want to have a good experience? What do you want with your pregnancy? Because you can really easily fall into the hard, you know, nasty side of it because it can be, and it's so hard. I mean, that first trimester and just, you know, everything. It gets really difficult, but it's also a choice to love it and want to glow and want to take on, do it the right way, you know, for you. So I feel like that's kind of how I had to go into it, I was like, we're doing this. I'm not
Also,
gonna be mad about it.
let's talk about their names if you're okay with it, because I know your son's name you first is Soul.
So I have Soul, and then baby girl, I had to name her Luna because it made sense. I felt the energy was that. It was so feminine. It was just, she was the moon, and it just worked out perfectly.
So it
I was
was
like,
really
I
meant
gotta
to
have
be.
my sun and my moon, because that's literally what they are.
That
And
is adorable.
it's nice.
So since you got pregnant the second time around, were you still nursing your first?
Yeah, I was still nursing Soul, and we honestly naturally weaned right when I got pregnant because it was so painful. It literally, all of a sudden, it just came back, the nipple pain. It was insane, because that's always been like a sign that, oh, period's coming. And it was also a telltale sign when I got pregnant with him. It was like painful, painful. So then when I got pregnant with her, it was like, oh, geez, I couldn't even like nurse him. And he was like pretty much starting to be done. It was starting to get to 1 time a day. And we were already giving him bottles. So it was a really easy fix. And it just kind of naturally went on. But I think I nursed him a little, like a few weeks into being pregnant probably. And then it worked out. Because I was like, I was planning to do it the whole time. I was like, I'm just going to nurse him until we naturally wean. And thank God I didn't, because all that energy.
Yeah.
It takes so much energy to breastfeed. I needed that for the pregnancy. I literally needed that.
Especially the first trimester, I
Yeah.
think, is the worst trimester.
Oh, yeah.
Whether or not you get sick or not, but you get so tired. I think the first trimester, you're just tired, bloated, and you need a gas mask.
Oh my
like
God,
the
totally.
way the farts just go. But that's besides the point.
It's so true.
But the thing that I want to say is, because I know that we had talked about, once I found out that you are pregnant with your second child, and you said I was nursing, because like before it was like a myth that you would hear that if you're breastfeeding, there's not a chance that, you know, you're not going to get pregnant. There's a chance that you're not going to get pregnant easily.
True, right?
But you know, that's such a myth.
It is a myth. And there's so many people that do it all the way through, and they're just nursing for years and years. So, you know, you can still get pregnant. I think every body is different. I think that's probably what it boils down to is, you know, your diet, what you're eating, how your lifestyle is, you know, your energy levels also too, just everything. It's like everything plays into it. And, you know, I'm grateful I was able to do it with Soul, and now with Luna. I'm also grateful that it stopped when it ended when it did with Soul, because I could not do both, honestly.
Absolutely
like
not.
This is just me where I was at. I was like, I needed all that energy. I also wanted to work again, so I was working a little bit, and I just couldn't think about that whole other part and being pregnant. Because it's like a lot.
So when did you get your period the first time? Postpartum.
Yeah, with first time with Soul, I got my period at 3 months.
Wow.
Yes, it was 3 months. I remember being like, oh, there it is again. And I was kind of surprised, but I was like, all right, great. Well, we'll go with it. And it was pretty regular, and I just had it. This time, it was literally 4 weeks. I wasn't sure if that was the period. I was like, oh, maybe this is postpartum bleeding, especially with what was going on. But then when I got it again, within a month, I was like, okay, then it was. And then I got it again. So here we are, the third cycle. I'm like, I guess I have it back. So that was insane to me, because I'm like, this is too soon.
Yeah.
But clearly, I mean, I guess it's just my body's way of being like, you better get back to business, you know, like get to, it's like, it's kind of like postpartum healing is over almost in a way. Even though I didn't feel like it was over, it kind of was. It was like, well, now you got to get up and at it and live life, and here's your cycle back.
Here's your cycle. Now you know your cycle, and then you can be careful, unless you don't want to be careful. You want a third child.
Right.
You know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's your calling. Who really knows?
I know, and I do want more kids. So I'm like, all right, you know, when that happens, it happens. I'm definitely not ready for that, but like, are we ever ready?
So how do you feel the dynamic is now with, I mean, I know you are a super mom, so I know you work, even though you work from home, quote unquote, but you're a stay-at-home mom. You have a toddler, you have a 4-month-old, but you also have a husband. So how is that dynamic going? You know what I mean? There's so much that goes into just one child that I have right now with my husband, and it's so rough. Not rough, but it's like the time management, you know? So how do you do that?
It's so hard, let me tell you. Like, I I feel like I'm always needed by everybody. I literally don't feel like I'm like, I need myself first. So it's been really hard because I know he has his needs, and we just have our needs that our relationship also. I'm like, we need to focus on a relationship now. We've barely been doing that. I mean, we enjoy the kids. We take them out with us, but it's so hard to prioritize our time. And he's home a lot. You know, he does acting, so he's work from home unless he books a job, and then I'm by myself with the kids. And we're just busy. You know, it's like full day. You know, he's helping, I'm doing something. You know, we're just constantly back and forth. We hang out at the end of the day on the couch, you know, try to enjoy each other. And it's just so hard because so many times we're tired. We just want to go to bed. We don't want to make that much of an effort.
Absolutely.
But then it's like at this point where I miss him. I miss us before the kids. I'm really at that place right now, and we're like, okay, we got to bring some structure into this. We need to bring, you know, a babysitter in. We got to start doing it.
Yeah.
I've literally had a babysitter like 1 or 2 times, and that's been a choice that we've made, but we're starting to realize like our relationship needs some extra love and TLC.
No,
we need some more time for each other. I can't wait to go on like a trip with him and feel comfortable to do that again, you know, do those things, because I miss my relationship. It is so different. And it's something that I think not a lot of people talk about, how much your relationship is going to change. And it just keeps changing.
Absolutely.
Especially with the second kid, you know, it was like, wow, now we really have no time. Because I used to have so many more naps to hang out with him. And now we both have work to do. So it's like.
Yeah, I think that's the number one
so hard
thing postpartum besides breastfeeding that was hard is besides finding yourself and finding who you are now, but navigating through what happened to the relationship. Even though it's amazing, but it's not the same. You can't just be like, hey, let's go out and go to the movies, or let's have a drink. I don't know, like whatever, just little things. You don't have that. Or sometimes I felt I was giving so much love and touch to my son that I didn't even think about that. Just a hug. My husband, you know what I mean? It's like little things like that. But I think what we started doing, which I feel like is helping, is like once a week, instead of just sitting on a couch and watching a show, we'll have a conversation, or we'll plan ahead for the week. Even if it's just talking about what are we going to cook, or what are we going to do, what is your plan, my plan. Just having that kind of conversation kind of brings in a little bit of normalcy between you two. I don't know, that kind of helped us. Besides just, because we can't just go on date night when he's sleeping, you know? So we'll just stay at home, and that's what we do, and kind of helps us. Yeah. Maybe if you want to try that.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, it's funny because like, I like we joke all the time. We're like, we have not been to the movies. We hardly watch TV anymore because the times we do want to, you know, we do have some time together. It is to talk or you know, try to plan something. It's just and then the baby wakes up, and then it's like, okay, I'll be right back, and then one of us falls asleep in the room. But you know, there's just like you just gotta flow with it, and I think we give each other a lot of grace, but it's definitely something to nurture as time goes on and not forget about. I think you saw Dr. Mark, the chiropractor. He always said that, like, don't forget to date your partner still, because so many people forget, and I've gotten caught up in that, and now it's like we really have to make an effort because life happens and you're busy. And if you don't make an effort, your relationship could easily fall apart.
Yeah, and the way that we're so busy with children and just life in general, time is flying by. And so, yeah, it's like now you're 4 months postpartum, second time around. So it's just things are just going by so quickly. But I'm glad to see that you guys are such a good couple and like a good team. I love the teamwork that you guys do. Whether or not he's dropping you off and keeping, you know, Soul with him while you are with us and with Luna and we do the mom walk. So I feel like that's very important. So that alone shows such a good, like you guys have good hearts and good hearts for each other.
Thank you. I do feel like we're such a good team, and I feel so bad so many times because I'm like, it's me. At the end of the day, it's me. I'm the one who's in the mood. I don't feel good. I need a break. I want my own time because I just need to fill my cup, you know, like and he's like such a, like he's just go, and he doesn't need to fill his cup. But I mean, he does, but it feels like that sometimes.
But I think men are able to fill their cups more easily than us because they can just get up and go to the gym. Like that's
Literally.
already like filling their cup.
Exactly.
And we can't just get up and leave like he's coming with me.
Exactly. And you're hitting the nail on the head because that's exactly what happens. He's like, I'm good if I just get to go to the gym. Just let me go to the gym. I'm like, okay. I personally need way more than just one outing to work out. I'm like, I need my spa time. I need like 3 hours alone without the kids to like really feel grounded and like, okay, now I'm ready to be good wife and mother to everybody. Because it's literally, if you don't fill up your cup, I'm like a raging, literally. I'm like, I'm a bad mom if I don't get that time.
100%.
And then everyone hates me.
No, and
I'm afraid. I'm like, are you guys all gonna hate me one day? Like, is my kid literally gonna be like, my mom's evil?
I don't even like myself when I'm like that. And that's the thing, like if I have this routine, like every morning I have to go on a walk, rain or shine, I have to go on a walk.
I love that.
And one day I don't, I come home and I'm already like losing my ish. Nick will be like, give me him, just go out on a walk, just do something, go do something, because he knows otherwise I'm about to be the worst person that whole day.
Yeah.
And I hate that person I am, but it just, sometimes you just, I don't know how to explain this to men, how that feels and why it gets like that,
Yeah.
but it just happens. I'm sorry guys. You
I know.
gotta
It's like
accept it.
We're like, sorry everybody, but like, it's hard.
I mean, even if you just get 10 minutes, you know, like
Literally.
I don't remember the last time I woke up and I did skincare routine and all those things without me having to converse with my baby. He's in the bathroom with me. He has a whole drawer now because I put his toys in there, because he would take out my stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put your toys in there so it's easier and I don't have to worry about any chemicals or whatever the hell he's going to break. But he's always with me. So it's like I don't even have that morning time to just do skincare by myself, which is fine. I love that time. Besides Sundays. Another thing, another big tip, what we do is Sunday mornings are for me to stay in bed, sleep in, whatever I want to do, and my husband takes him in the mornings and he'll do his routine. So that's the only day that we're off of routine, and it's so healthy. It's so healthy.
I love that you have a routine. That's something that we struggle with so much, and I'm literally having to really work on that right now because Soul's at the age, and that's what kids need, like especially toddlers. I'm realizing they need structure, they need routine. I don't need that. That's not my soul gifts or energy. Me and Fabian are very like, we like to go with the flow. Every day is different, every time's different. We like to wake up when we wake up, eat when we eat. These kids, they're not like that. They want to know every day what they're doing. And so it's been really hard, honestly, for Soul, because now he's 2 and he needs some, like, okay, every day we eat at this time, like this, and every day my nap is at this time. Even though he wants to fight me now for everything. And I'm like, bro, you're doing this whether you like it or not. And it's been hard, you know, because I have to be a little mean sometimes, but it's something that comes with the territory of parenthood,
That.
I've realized.
And with routine, that comes
And
with
with
the
routine.
territory.
So I'm in a culture shock right now with this routine because Luna does not want to be on a routine, but Soul is craving it, needing it, and I could feel that, but he's also not giving into it. So it's kind of just one of those things. But that is something that, like you said, it's game changer, and you need to have a routine because otherwise you go bonkers.
I think if you have the routine, it's good for the babies, but it's also good for you, because
Yes.
now you kind of have a schedule of what time, what they're going to do, and then maybe at this time you can squeeze in, I don't know, listen to a podcast or journaling or I don't know, whatever it is that you need to do. But I think that does help. Like for me, I love routine because I'm just like type A person, but I can also be type B. But I'm this person that I need to have this routine. But the issue with that is if it doesn't go by my routine, my mood changes so much, and I hate that about myself. But I'm opening up to it. Like today or any other day that I'm not gonna go on a walk because I'm gonna go and take the babies to like a little learning thing at the library. Totally off my routine and off of his nap time routine, but I'm doing it because it's also good for me to
Yes.
see some other adults while I'm having the kids.
Yes, and that's the thing. We have to be a little bit flexible as a mom, as a parent, because then you will go even more crazy because there's this control that we want to have. Like, sometimes you just got to let it go. I've been having to do that with Soul a lot. Like, as much as I want to force this routine, it's like also his nervous system.
Yeah.
If that's too much for him, I do got to reel it in. Okay, fine. If you don't want to nap, then that's fine. You know what? For today, at some point maybe we'll get it. So I got, it's like, otherwise I'm going to go crazy if I'm forcing something, right? It's always flow over force, because then it's just, your mind, your body, you're just like, you can't handle it.
Speaking of flow, I am on a flow app. However, I've been texting you and trying to get more insight on my cycles and on my flow, and you just know so much, and I didn't know until you said something, and I was like, what is she talking about? I googled it. I was like, oh, let me text her, like she knows this stuff. It's amazing. And I think these are such amazing things to know that you can maybe you've educated me, and you're still educating me, because I'm still not that sure. Like sometimes I'm literally about to be like, should I take a picture of this and send this to her? Or is that TMI?
No, you can. Oh my God,
that'll be hilarious. Like, look at this. But what I'm talking about, obviously, is our cycles and ovulation, and just, you're so good at it. And now I know, without having to look on my app, that I am about to ovulate, or I'm ovulating based on my discharge. And that's the coolest thing.
It's so cool. Our bodies are amazing. Like if we choose to tune in and really follow, like pay attention to our bodies, there's so many little minuscule changes that happen that we just we don't pay attention to a lot of times. But if you do, you can really start to track it and optimize your life. And also, like, the people around you can understand a little bit better, because women, we are just changing all the time, and that's why it is like a lunar cycle, because the moon is always changing too. So I always like to talk about the moon, because it's literally the same cycle like that we have 4 phases, just like the moon, and it's usually around 28 to 32 days in a healthy cycle. It just depends. Every woman varies, and it depends on what you're eating, what supplements you're taking, herbs, the type of workouts you do, the type of energy levels, because you can literally be in those phases. So say like you're menstruating, which is day 1. When you first start your bleed, you're on day 1 of your cycle. And then that's where you want to have low glycemic foods to really help purify the blood you're releasing. So this is technically would be the waning phase of the moon, the dark of the moon, the new moon. So it's like you start this phase and you're releasing, shedding all these layers, and then you start building back up to get those eggs ready. Follicular phase, so they're growing, getting bigger, moon's getting bigger. Ovulation, full moon, so there you are, fertile energy, you're ready to be in a good group settings, you're just like this high energy, sexy, flirty, like you're ready to get it on. And people around you can feel that. It's that glowing pregnancy energy. It's almost like you're constantly ovulating. And then you get to the luteal phase, which is also when like the moon would be waning, comes down. We're in like a decline. We're in like starting to get like, I just want to be home. I want to organize. I'm getting a little grouchy. I need to go within a little bit more because you're about to bleed. So that's usually about 10 to 14 days, that PMS period. And that is when we want to have like a lot of baked veggies, anything to like curb sugar cravings, because our bodies are just naturally getting more progesterone. So we want sugar, we want carbs. So it's like having corn and sweet potatoes and baking them because they get more rich. So there's all these ways to eat well and kind of modify our workouts also. And I've had to tell my husband, like, I'm like, when I'm in this phase, I'm in that don't fuck with me phase, because I'm starting to feel that like I need to go slow down a little bit, not really socialize as much. I'm about to have my bleed. So then when you start getting your bleed, it's almost like a relief. But there is a little bit, what I've noticed, and I think some people will talk about this also, there's like this grief period when you realize that you're not pregnant, and that's kind of what happens in that luteal phase. Is we're just like PMS, we're grumpy because your body's releasing, it's not carrying a pregnancy. So then there you have that period coming. So it's interesting.
Wow.
Right? It's wild. So it's understandable too. I've had to explain that to my husband. I'm like, we're going through it right now, okay? Like I just need to be by myself, or I need to do a little extra self-care in the PMS phase.
Because even though you don't want a pregnancy, but automatically your hormones, your body is grieving that you didn't get pregnant.
It literally
because that's what your cycle is about.
It's just about that. As long as we're having our cycles, our body wants to get pregnant, so it naturally knows when it doesn't. And there's this moodiness that comes with it. So it's like a drop. Oof.
I know this is like a little, you can't be exact, obviously, but so when is it like a safe time to have unprotected sex and be safe?
Usually you can only get pregnant between the ovulatory window, and it's like 3 to 4 days, depending on the person, depending on your fluid. So almost every time around that, you should be fine. And I think really as long as you're tracking it in a way by like knowing your fluid, knowing maybe your basal temperature. If you have like a thermometer, they have these basal body temperature sticks kind of thing that you can, it's a thermometer, it's just a specific kind. And if you notice that like you're in a safe zone, that's kind of like you can do it. So it's usually when you're period. I mean, a lot of people don't want to have sex on their period, but it's technically probably the safest time, follicular phase, up until it starts getting really creamy and really juicy, and you're feeling that. You'll start feeling that friskiness.
When you're feeling like you want to have sex, don't have sex.
Yes, it's crazy because our bodies just want it. And that's what the men know too. Like, it's just this magnet, literally, we're like magnets. It's the gravitational pull. It's when, like this, it's wild. It blows my mind that it's just
our bodies
nature.
And hormones. Yeah, nature.
It's literally nature. It's animalistic. I mean, it's animals, it's the same way. It's how life is created. So it's really a beautiful thing too.
So when you said temperature, I remember you told me like take your temperature in the mornings before you take your first morning pee. And so am I looking, if I'm, let's say, in the ovulation phase, what is it called?
Yeah, the ovulation.
Ovulation phase. Should my temperature be higher than usual or lower?
Yes, it's gonna spike. It's gonna be, you can even probably feel hotter. I've noticed that. I'm like, whew, I need to like wear less clothes. It's literally that kind of like you get the sweats. But your body temperature is actually higher too. Everything starts to rise and then it goes down. So when you notice that starts to go down, you're starting to be in your safe zone again. So there's literally a spike, and that's when you're actually releasing an egg. And usually it's like a 12-hour window. And that's usually the time where it's like, okay, that's why some people will plan it. If they're planning and they're really trying to conceive, you're gonna want to really track, like take your temperature even throughout the day and be like, all right, this is that 12 hours or 24 hours. But usually it's like a very short amount of time that egg is literally like ready.
But then they say to have a couple, like 5 days or 7 days, I don't know what, before and after that, because sperm could live up to that.
And so this is what happened with me getting pregnant with Luna. And I think because I was breastfeeding, I think what happens is that you're ovulating a lot longer and more often, and it's a little bit random. So even right now, my cycle's not 100% on, and I don't know if it will be. It's something that you just gotta flow with. And I think the more you eat right, do exercise, and kind of accommodate all these things, it will sync up perfectly. But I don't got time to do like that so deeply anymore. I used to. It's how I got pregnant with Soul, and I was doing pretty good with Luna, but I think we were in the follicular phase and it was heading up into there, but it was still like, I didn't think that it would have been that big of a deal. But it was both. It was like I knew, and I was like, this is risky business. I'm playing with fire right now.
Hey, you knew.
And I let him, do the deed. And then I was like, oh no. Well, it just happened.
It was meant to be.
And we were like, let's hope that wasn't, I wasn't tracking it. I was not checking my temperature. I was not really paying attention to the fluid. It's a little bit different when you're breastfeeding.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the hard part.
You are still breastfeeding right now too.
Yes.
Because I know when I stopped breastfeeding a couple months ago, that's when I feel like my cycle is exactly now on point, and it's just getting better and better because my hormones are kind of trickling down. I don't know what's going on, but they're just kind of like getting a little more normal. So I think the breastfeeding does make a huge difference. But I do want to say, just because you're breastfeeding doesn't mean you cannot get pregnant.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm living proof of that. And it's just, but our bodies are so magnificent. They know what to do, and ultimately we know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So we have to also take responsibility for that too. So I'm like, we did what we did, and I have a beautiful baby girl because of it. So I'm okay with that.
There you go.
But it's so cool, like tracking the cycles, following it, you can really optimize your life. And I always recommend that to people because I think it's so important. There's all these great herbs that you can take throughout just to support, especially like that luteal phase. I know for me, it's really, really hard. I think a lot of women have a hard time, you know, just, it's a long period. It's like 10 to 14 days of just a drop of like need to chill a little bit more.
Yeah.
And be easy and gentle because those mood swings can be wild. For me, they are. So I have to take herbal support. I usually take a lot of herbs throughout my cycle, and there's all these kinds that can be good, like raspberry leaf for your period. Even though they say through pregnancy, you can do it throughout your cycle, and the menstruating time is great. You know, raspberry leaf, all kinds of things.
I'm gonna start that. I
I
love the raspberry leaf tea.
Yes, the raspberry leaf tea is so good, and you know, nettles. Basically, period is like postpartum. So you want to treat yourself like you're in your postpartum again.
There's something I want to try out with you and the next future moms that will be on this podcast. So what is something that you would want to ask the next mom or any mom in general that you are still kind of maybe unsure about during this postpartum time?
I would want to know, how do other women manage their mood swings around their families? Because for me, it's really hard. And I need some tips on how to keep myself in balance and in check, because sometimes I just can't. So how does other moms keep their cool around their families, their kids, and their partners?
That's a good one.
That's my question.
Yeah, that's a good one because I do want that answer too.
I want to know. I need some help over here.
We all do,
Yeah,
but
no.
you're doing amazing, seriously. I mean,
You too.
to me, you look like that person. So the
Aw.
question that you just asked to me, you already look like that. And I know the other moms around you, we feel the same way, especially because you are such a great inspiration and example to us, because you're doing all of this and you're doing things with us with having 2 babies, and that's huge. So just know that to us, you look amazing and you're doing it,
Aw.
okay?
That means so much to me. Like, thank you so much. And like, I'm so grateful to have met you and know you and meet all these other amazing moms and babies. And, you know, we both have 2 boys first I just feel like that's so special. And that's something really, really cool.
Likewise.
And I love that. So
Likewise.
I'm so grateful to.
I am so happy that you were able to come on here, and thank you for sharing your amazing knowledge and experience. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today and being part of this conversation. If you found this episode helpful or inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Your support truly helps other mamas find us. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and become part of our village so you never miss a new episode. We're all in this together. Until next time, mamas, take care and bye for now.